authorized to fire at will.
Hey, good Wednesday evening. It is May 6th, 2026. Sorry, I'm not in my normal professional showrunner, show producer garb. I just got home from my shift at work, and I've been busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest all day. I've been tracking the events coming out of Cass County, Minnesota. It's this is just an update. We're not going to go into the full details about what took place today. I've got video coming in from Natalie, my volunteer researcher, videos coming in from other people who were on scene. But big shout out to Natalie for everything that she does. Like I said, any content that we do that she's been doing research on, she is automatically show producer level credits. Also, big shout out to the channel members. Thank you so much for what you do. You guys do literally keep the internet and the electricity on. For everybody in the chat, Sarah Chicana for Liberty, Georgie, thank you so much for being here. I hope you guys will like this, share it out, make sure we're tagging the appropriate people. This is a big day. A long time coming, 6 years. And as we're waiting for audience to build just a little bit, I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to have a big announcement coming out this weekend. It's a personal announcement, and I hope that you guys, when you hear the announcement, you will take it for what it is, and that you will support me in it, and that you will help me get the support that the announcement is going to be geared towards getting. So where are we today? Well, 6 years ago, if you guys have been following this story, we are looking at, hey, Skipper, thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. Really do appreciate that. You know, I would love to be able to do that back for you, but I just don't have the finances to do that or gift memberships anymore. So thank you so much for that. AVA, thanks for being here. Once again, Georgie, thanks for being here. So like I was saying, 6 years ago, Jami Lyle Lucas went missing on July 3rd of 2020. And if you are paying attention, I did a show on Sunday where we talked about how bad the efforts by the Cass County Sheriff's Office were in finding Jami. Well, today they finally delivered and did a gridded search. They had over 100 people. It was like upwards of 105, 110 people showed up to volunteer or take part in the search. As of right now, I can count at least four agencies: Clearwater County Sheriff's Office, Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office, Cass County Sheriff's Office. Man, that's 3C agencies. What do you know? No such thing as coinky-dink, right? And the DNR, Minnesota DNR, Department of Natural Resources. And if I'm understanding the reporting correctly, because I have somebody commenting on the thread of one of the videos, the U.S. Forest Service helped lay out the grid work. They started the search at about 10. Natalie was on scene, video camera in hand. She bought special equipment to be able to shoot a lot of video. She sent me some cell phone video. I've got other cell phone video coming in. What do we know right now? We have nothing definitive about what happened to Jami. Now, like, big shock, right? Everybody's super shocked, aren't we? We're super shocked that we didn't find Jami's remains. And that's not breaking news. Everybody who's been paying attention to this knows that the intent of the search was not to find Jami. We know that. The Cass County Sheriff's Office intent on this search was never to find Jami. It was to placate Tonda and Sandy, Jami's mom. Oh, by the way, we are working towards having Sandy on. Sandy is older, but we are working on having her on to tell her side of her story, her tragic story, right? But Tonda is also going to be coming on in the near future, and Tonda's story, what she has done to affect the events that happened today, is groundbreaking. When I talk about think local, act local, and you guys know I have a whole series of think local, act local videos. Most of them are me going to city council meetings and other places. But Tonda is the example that you guys need to be focusing on. And Sarah here watching understands that as well. My focus is never for me to be the forefront of think local, act local. My focus is always to bring other people into the story and get them to go out and do that thing. Like Sarah running for city council in Owatonna, Minnesota. Like that's Sarah's doing. She's doing that. Well, that's Tonda in this case. Tonda has invested in the family. She's invested in her friendship with Jami and his family. And she poured massive amounts of hours upon hours into working to push the Cass County Sheriff's Office under the administration of Sheriff Brian Welk to make this happen. And so if you go back and you watch the video, the stream from Sunday, the Cass County Sheriff's Office faked a search last year. We have no idea. Hey, Craig, excuse me, I said that wrong. Craig of Scotland, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We definitely accept pound sterling here at my show because I am a free market capitalist. I am a free market Austrian economics capitalist, and I will take the pound sterling because it is the strongest thing going in the world right now. So thank you so much, Craig of Scotland, for that. Really appreciate having you here. I got it. Settle down, Georgie. Georgie, you're not allowed to comment again unless you send gift memberships. That's just what we're just saying that. AVA, if she tries to comment without sending gift memberships, she is to be muted for 5 minutes. Anyway, I said what I said, but Tonda is this example of what it means to go out and affect change, and she's done it. She has worked tirelessly. I maybe had a drink before I got started. I haven't ate yet. So I came home and wanted to do this right away. But she has worked without rest. There, how's that? She has worked without rest. She has worked herself to the bone to get the story out there. And the importance of what she has done has led to this day. Now, what I'm about to say is not to take away from what she's done. What she's done has driven the Cass County Sheriff's Office into exposing themselves. Okay? That's where we're at. Working towards this reality wherein the Cass County Sheriff's Office had to fake a search last year. We have no documentation available. We have not been able to find any documentation that Cass County Sheriff's Office actually did their search last year, like they said they were. We've yet to be able to prove that they have any body cam video, no drone video. We have no reports that have ever been filed that we can find. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, that they don't exist, but we haven't been able to find them. They haven't released any of that. They just said they were doing this private law enforcement only search. Fast forward now to May, Jami's birthday. Okay, Georgie gifted 1 Minnesota Black Robe Regiment membership, so she's allowed to speak until she says something else that deserves to be disciplined, and then she's under restrictions again. So I'm looking forward. Somebody tell me who got that gift membership. When they launched this, they took a year from the time that they staged their fake search last year. Oh, she's gonna keep sending. Georgie, I see what you're doing. You're buying yourself credit. As she's as she's pushing them, they're buying themselves time. Then they put out this deadline that anybody that wanted to take part in the search had to sign up by May 1st, which was Friday of last week. Well, there was a First Nations group of people who wanted to take part in the search, got told yesterday, sorry, you're not allowed to take part in the search because you didn't get signed up on time. Now, folks, we're talking about a group of people who is vested in this region, going back centuries, but vested in this region, who gathering together to come take part in the search, got told, no, you can't take part because you didn't get signed up by a deadline. What's that tell you? That is gatekeeping like nobody's business, right? Well, we told them show up anyway. Here's what you need to say. And when I say we, you know, I'm talking about the channel. Here's what you need to say. The sheriff, I put out an announcement on multiple social media platforms today telling the sheriff, we've got boots on the ground and we've got cameras, we've got video recording going on everywhere. You can either accept their help, their offer of help, and I'll report positively about you, or you can reject them because they didn't meet your magical deadline, and we're going to tell the truth about you. Well, they accepted their help today. They let them in. So props to Sheriff Brian Wilk for telling his staff to get out there and let them in and accept the help. So what we do know is that multiple bone fragment sites were found. We had multiple, I have multiple images that we're going to be releasing over the coming days of bones. Georgie, thank you so much, not only for 2 gift memberships, but also for the $5 super chat. My head will always look deformed. So we have multiple bone fragments that were found. Late in the day, they came across what I believe from the video and the images that what appears to be a kill site of probably a deer. But it was reported to me reliably that they do believe they may have found what is a collarbone. Now, bones are easily mistaken in the wild, right? If you've never spent any time in the wild searching, if you've never, walked across a kill site, it's very easy to see something and automatically assume it's a bone. Like, I've been digging in my own backyard, found a bone and thought, man, this looks like a human bone. And then you stop and you look at it and you're like, okay, the size is off, the dimensions are off. I'm not a forensic specialist by any stretch of the imagination, but it's easy to mistake any bone in our mind, for lack of better terminology, kind of like a case or an example of pareidolia. Pareidolia is this phenomenon where the human being has the psyche. We have this tendency to see human faces in things that aren't there. So you see an image and you say to yourself, wow, that looks like a human face. It's kind of where we get the man in the moon phenomenon. I don't know if anybody even talks about that anymore, but we do tend to see human faces in tree scars. We tend to see human faces on animals, anthropomorphism, but we do the same thing with bones. It's a form of pareidolia. We see it. We see a bone. First thing we think of is obviously this thing is deceased. It must be a human bone, especially when we're out looking for human remains. Bones have been gathered. They are supposedly being sent off to labs for testing. And when we know definitively what they have found, we will report that. But once again, what I want to emphasize is here we had over 100 people show up to take part in this. Cadaver dog teams, at least 4 other agencies. U.S. Forest Service was apparently involved in gritting this out, And once again, thank you, Sheriff Brian Welk, for making this happen. Now, here's the question. Why did it take 6 years? Why did it take 6 years for somebody to finally get off their ass and make this a reality? Why is it that Jami Lyle Lucas disappeared on July 3rd and no real search was done at all? None. The closest they came was a few days afterwards when they sent out 2 deputies and 2 members of the DNR. That, once again, that's the only recordings we can find. And when I say recordings, I mean reports or dispatch logs. We don't have any body cam video. We have no drone video of this. Just 4 people searched for 2 hours, and that's it. We have no other indication that they've done any other kind of in-depth search at all. Why did it take nearly 6 years? And why did they choose to do it on Jami's birthday? And why did they only do 8 hours? If you know anything about missing person searches, even if they believe it's looking for remains, these things don't just get done in one 8-hour span and then they end. And here's something else. I just had it come in from my researcher, from Natalie, that the areas they searched were nowhere near geographically. They were, close because it's on the same road. But when you're talking about a grid search that took 8 hours with over 100 people, you're talking about over 800 hours of searching today. They were nowhere near where the Cass County deputies chased Jami into the woods right before his death. And let's be honest, Jami Lyle Lucas is dead. I've got somebody watching, paying attention to this. I'm going to say was a friend, because he's not acting like a friend right now. And Pat, you know who you are, who came out and complained that you know what? Here, let's get his comments. Let's just bring his comments up. Let's bring his comments up. Sorry, this is impromptu. I wasn't planning on this. Where is that comment? Here we go. I'm going to show you this freaking comment. This is why this is so important. This is why I'm going to say he was a friend. Because I don't know that he is anymore with comments like this. Put me down in the corner there, folks. We're going to be down there a little bit in the corner. Here's his comment. If you can't see it, I'll read it to you. So people complain they don't look for a tweaker. When they look for said tweaker, y'all complain. I don't get it. Maybe you can see it now. I don't get it. Dude's probably living in Florida or somewhere. Sometimes people fuck up their lives so bad that they go ghost and move far, far away. One more time. So people complain that they don't look for a tweaker. When they look for said tweaker, y'all complain. I don't get it. Dude's probably living in Florida or somewhere. Sometimes people fuck up their lives so bad they go ghost and move far, far away. Now, that's asinine behavior, folks. That's the comment of an asshole. That's a comment of a person who proves precisely what I have been saying. Now, Pat apparently says he's good friends with the sheriff, and I've asked Pat in a text message, and I will produce proof of that. I have asked Pat to facilitate a conversation between myself and Sheriff Brian Welk. Pat has been radio silent since I made that request, basically. He's not gotten back to me and said he's made that effort. He's not gotten back to me and said that Sheriff Welk has no desire to talk to you. And I will treat Sheriff Welk with respect and decency, not because he's a cop, but because I treat everybody that comes on the show with respect and decency, even when I disagree with them. But folks, this is the problem. Pat's spitting out the narrative that the Cass County Sheriff's Office has been spitting out since July 3rd of 2020. Jami's nothing more than a tweaker, and he doesn't deserve to be treated as anything else. It's a big F you from them. It's a massive F you. They just don't care. They do not care because Jami was a tweaker. And that's why we are sitting here nearly 6 years later, acting the way we're acting. We're supposed to somehow rush in and congratulate the Cass County Sheriff's Office for finally getting off their asses and doing the right thing, knowing they had 6 years to cover for whatever happened that day. Now, not only did they not search the area where Jami went into the woods, allegedly running from them, but they also worked very hard to coordinate how the searching happened. Now, that's very important in a grid pattern search. That's I will acknowledge. I will absolutely acknowledge that you want a controlled environment when you're doing grid pattern searches. But they were working to control not only the narrative for the last 6 years, but today was very much an issue of controlling where people searched and how they searched. And I have video from Natalie, from my researcher, that shows they had two groups desperately far apart with a vast open area not being searched at the time. So they had one group of law enforcement corralling Natalie and Tonda and other family members of Jami in one area, pushed away from others searching another area. And it was only after 2 p.m. where they regridded and went back and started searching some more. But the search is officially concluded. We have no definitive answer as to whether or not any human remains were found. What they do believe may be a human, or not believe, but could be a human collarbone. If you guys hear the barking, that's my beloved dog Calvin in the background, who is very upset that I'm not out there spending time with him after being gone all day. So I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. What they do speculate could possibly be a human collarbone. We have no one reported finding any clothing. Now, if you're saying, well, it's 6 years, clothing would have rotted. That's not how human clothing works, folks. I have t-shirts in my garage in a box, not a waterproof box, but in a box, just exposed to the humidity and the fluctuations and whatnot, that are in perfectly good shape. They're a little musty, but they need to be washed. They need to be washed if they're ever going to be worn again. But these keepsake type, memorial type t-shirts, man-made fabrics, even if they're blends of natural fabrics and synthetics, they don't rot that fast. They do not rot away in 6 years. Even in the elements, especially in Minnesota, you might get warm, and people don't laugh when I tell you that even Cass County, Minnesota, will get as warm as most southern states in the summer with humidity levels as high, if not higher than most southern states. But we also get bone dry and ice cold in the winter. And clothing will not just rot away in 6 years, especially if it gets buried under deadfall and in leaves and plant matter and stuff. It just doesn't rot away that fast. So if they did find something that is indicative of it being a human remain, say Jami's collarbone or something else, there should have been the ability to find something he was wearing, his shoes, a belt, jeans or something. None of that was found today. Nothing. We have no reports coming in from anyone anywhere that any clothing was found. And that tells us a few things. I'm not going to tell you ultimately what my theory is as far as what happened to Jami. We'll address that in future episodes. But either Jami was hidden somewhere where no one can find him, or if they did come and they do find a bone and they can somehow magically produce a DNA profile that shows that collarbone is Jami's, it was planted there. Because the human bone, even with small animals gnawing on it and small animals gnaw on bones, that's what they do. That's why skeletal remains very often get spread out and over a wide area. But one, maybe possibly a collarbone of that could be possibly human, it's because the body was brought back in the last 6 years. I would say if that were to happen, it would be within the last year, probably within the last few weeks. It was just brought in and planted. They found nothing else. Search is over. One day, 100 plus volunteers. That's it. Now everybody goes back to their lives. And the other thing that we have to ask, if this had been done the way it should have been done, Jami, if they do find proof that Jami passed away out there, we'll get to whether or not the bodies of water have been checked, Georgie. Trust me, that's coming in future episodes, future live streams. We will talk about that. If they do get DNA profile proof that collarbone was Jami's, that does not stop this coverage, because it doesn't answer the questions. Who's responsible? What the hell happened? And why did it take them 6 freaking years? 6 freaking years. This was not an effort at transparency. This was not an effort at empathy. This was not an effort at compassion. I applaud them, and everybody offer a round of applause to the Cass County Sheriff's Office for finally doing an 8-hour search. And thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to the U.S. Forest Service for gritting this out. Thank you to all the people. But law enforcement, we just watched you spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of we the people, the wage slave tax cattle of the entire country, because there's not a single agency in the United States that is not funded by all the people in the United States. So if you pay taxes in Alabama, or you pay taxes in Georgia, or you pay taxes in Minnesota, or you pay taxes in California, or wherever you might be watching from, if you pay taxes, your taxpayer dollars fund every single law enforcement agency in the entire country of the United States, because the feds fund every single law enforcement agency. And if you pay taxes in Minnesota, the state of Minnesota funds every law enforcement agency in the state. They back them up with their tax dollars. So every single one of us watched, once again, Cass County, Clear Lake County, Crow Wing County, Minnesota DNR, and apparently the United States Forest Service. We just spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in overtime, because most of these people, if they're deputies, they weren't there on their regular work day. They had to come in on a day off, because almost every single agency in the state of Minnesota, Sheriff's Office, have mandatory minimum coverage details, which means you can't pull somebody from their regular duty that day. You have to bring people in who are overtime volunteers. It's mandatory voluntary overtime. Mandatory voluntary overtime. In other words, somebody's working this shift. Veterans get a first pick, and by veterans I mean seniority. Work their way down until, if they get no volunteers, then somebody's going to get ordered to volunteer for this overtime. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars in pay today. Because if you don't know anything about actual law enforcement pay, they are paid well above the median income of a single income family in the state of Minnesota. Well above. Especially when you take into consideration those that were there on overtime. Not to mention the hours given up by volunteers. And most of my praise goes to the volunteers. Absolutely, most of my praise goes to the volunteers. This, even if they come back with conclusive proof that Jami is deceased and his body was out there, none of these answers are enough for us to stop covering the story. We are not going to stop until we put so much pressure on Brian Welk, who has been intimately involved in this case from day one, and I have the proof of that. We will demonstrate that Brian Welk, the now sheriff, who was a deputy 6 years ago, was there from day one. And he has apparently told Pat that he had nothing to do with this. I have that text message. I have the text message. I have the text message from Pat that says Brian said he had nothing to do with this. So he's either lying to Pat or he lied in his reports. And if he lied in his reports, that son of a bitch needs to be Brady listed. Because if you lie in a report, you're untrustworthy. So which is it? You're either lying to a buddy to cover your ass, or you lied in a report. And I don't believe he lied in his report. And we'll be covering all that in future episodes. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in for this last minute. Thank you so much for Georgie and Skipper and Greg of Scotland for the super chats and the channel memberships and all of that. You guys have no idea how much that means to me. Once again, be looking for a very personal announcement coming out in sometime this weekend. It's very important to me, and I'm going to really need your guys' support as I cover that. So until next time, my friends, fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. Thank you for searching for him today, folks. Cass County, thank you for finally doing what you should have done 6 years ago. But we're not going away because, say it with me, folks, sic semper tyrannis.
We are going for liftoff in T-30. Stand by for further instructions, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment.
Secondary guidance systems engaged.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, it will be on my mark.
All systems are a go. All systems are a go.
Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at will.